Now, this is a very interesting protocol. This is something new to work with agreements, and I think this ties deeply into DAOs and governance and everything around what's happening in the Cardano ecosystem at the moment. And this is pretty cool. This is Consenz, and I have Aharon joining me on this episode to talk all about it, give us an explanation, and dig deeper into it. So, Aharon, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you for having me.
Now, what is it that you guys are actually building, and what is the problem that you guys are trying to solve?
So the Consenz platform is an agreement building platform. This is how we call it. We try to address the fact that a lot of governance processes are happening outside of on-chain voting. There are great tools for on-chain voting and many others that have been built on Cardano, but a lot of the processes are happening outside of it. It's happening on social media, on different platforms. A lot of conversation, a lot of discussions, a lot of debates are happening in tools that were not designed for this purpose, which create a lot of noise, a lot overwhelming of information, and a lot of chaos in the process. So we try to solve it by building a platform that will allow a wide-scale participation in governance discussions that will be productive, structured and productive.
Gotcha. Okay. Structure around this kind of stuff is really important. I have seen Twitter polls used for governance. I've seen Discord polls used for governance, and they kind of exclude people from participation. And you're right, the noise on Twitter is incredible. So you get easily distracted. So how are you constructing this, and what is the experience and workflow like for a project and then also a user participating in governance?
Yeah, so we are looking on how should be a product of such a discussion and conversation should be. And most of all, it should be a document that can reflect the agreements of the participant. A document like this can be a constitution. As you know, a major part of SIP 1694 is forming a constitution for the Cardano blockchain by the community. So far, I haven't heard a good explanation how the community will participate in creating the constitution, and hopefully the Consenz platform will be able to provide some kind of a solution for this challenge. Other aspects of governance like ethics, code of conduct for different groups, or even proposals or guidelines, all of these should be documented. This is the best way for community members to know what are the rules, what should happen if this will approved. And by allowing wide participation in editing those documents, we believe that we can provide this kind of a structure to the conversation. We are doing it by combining the conversation features to allow free expression, but also the voting feature in very high resolution. So participant can vote on each version of individual section in the document, and only these versions that will receive enough support will be entered into the draft. So by that we can create a focus into what we agreed upon and continue the conversation on the issues that we are still in disagreement.
That's actually really cool. This sounds like very granular control over a constitution, for example. And I've seen conversations all over the place. Like we've got workshops all around the world, and then we have Twitter polls and Discord discussions, and collating all of that in one place to collaborate on is probably the most important thing and first step. This platform sounds absolutely fantastic to do that. And I love the idea of being able to vote on a portion of it too, because 90% of it might be perfect, and it can't be complete unless everyone agrees on the entire document. But how about we just agree on that first 90% and then work out that last 10%? That's a really cool feature too, and I absolutely love that. Is all this voting, is any of this a collaboration on chain as well? Does it use the blockchain there, or is it mostly off chain stuff?
I think maybe the voting terms can be a little bit confusing, because we don't believe that each voting should be on chain. It can be costly for fees, for chain fees, and it's also it's inefficient. So we see it as it can be a two phase process. So you have the phase of creating the document, and then in this case, I believe that the platform can support wide scale participation, but I guess it will be some small group of expertise or people with specific interest in a specific aspect of the governance, and then there will be ratifying of the document. So after some portion of the community has drafted some kind of a proposal, and this proposal has received enough support and has been done by, as you said, granular and very high resolution participation. Each participant can suggest different version for each section, and other can comment and decide which version is the best. Then after we create the preliminary draft, then we can put it in on-chain voting. So for this, we right now are building the platform, and we are building its user interface, and we are in conversation with other initiative and companies and groups that are working on the on-chain, the smart contract of voting. A potential partnership that we are building is with Clarity protocols that we are working with and knowing them, and hopefully we will find a way how to integrate their work on delivering smart contract voting into the Consenz platform, so we can provide these two phases of very high resolution working with the participants that are free to do that and have the interest to do this, and then to create some kind of on-chain voting for ratifying those drafts with wide scale, with even wider scale of the community. And so by building the draft, each vote, the voting on each section shouldn't be on chain, but ratifying those documents, most surely if it's a very important document as a constitution, but even if it is some kind of a guideline or something else, that can be done on chain. But this will be on in the future. This is a major part of our roadmap, but right now we're focusing on creating the best user experience in building the agreement, building the document.
Okay, this sounds perfect for Voltaire or Cardano's governance layer, SIP 1694. So that's absolutely fantastic to have something like this in place for people to work with. What about other projects? What type of projects are you targeting towards? Since you're working with Clarity Protocol, Clarity DAO, they would have certain projects going through there. Are you seeing those type of projects that are using their DAO platform using Consenz as well?
Hopefully, yeah, for sure. We believe that every DAO should have a constitution, and even not a constitution, there are some documentation for the governance that right now are happening on Gitbook or on Google Docs even, and we can provide a better way for the community to engage with in creating those documentation. The first project that we are working with is actually Project Catalyst. We have been funded by Project Catalyst. We built the MVP version of Consenz with our Fund 7 proposal. And we are really, I myself, very active in the community. I see the problems and the challenges that the community is facing. And we have started working like right now, maybe some of our viewers knows that the proposal review process has been through a lot of changes since Fund 9 to Fund 10. And we try to bring the current phase of the platform to the community in order to create some kind of a focused discussion on how these changes should be. We have been working with the Catalyst team of IOG in order to support these discussions that so far has been happening mainly on Telegram, on Twitter. So Project Catalyst is a very good place to start with. We are being funded by Catalyst, and we would like to bring back to the community. And each DAO that will build on Cardano, we hopefully will provide. We will be able to provide our platform to, and the Cardano community as a whole, as we mentioned, SIP 1694, and the challenge that will move ahead into the Voltaire era.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that you guys have an MVP, and congrats for being funded on previous Project Catalyst funds. So that's always really good to know. How far along on the MVP side are you, and when can the community start playing around with it, give you guys feedback, and actually get their hands on the platform?
Yeah, the MVP is fully functional. Not fully, but mostly functional. You can create draft, you can comment on section, you can suggest different version for sections and to play with it. Just hop on to app.consenz.io and you can start playing with it after a quick login. It has already been functional, but from the aspect of user experience and a lot of feature needed and a lot of integration needed, this is why we came back to the community and asking for additional funding in Fund 10. We have learned a lot since launching the MVP version a few months ago from user feedbacks, what is missing right now in the platform, what we need to develop in order for it to provide the best user experience, and how it can integrate with current discussion and conversations that happen in the community. And this is why we're asking for additional funding.
Is that what is all covered in your Fund 10 proposal?
Two of them. Yeah, we have three proposals for Fund 10. One of them in the DAOs Love Cardano challenge is focusing on building the next version of Consenz. It detailed many features and new pages that we wish to develop, that we learned that are needed in the platform in order for it to be usable to the community. So this is one of our proposal. Another one in the product and integration challenge is for creating a set of integration with a social media platform, because we understand that the conversation will continue happening in Twitter and Telegram and elsewhere. Building a new platform, we will never be able to create the same network effect that this platform have. So in order to really be able to bring this content into the Consenz platform and to communicate what is happening and to bring the structured way of doing things that happening in Consenz onto the social media platform, we wish to create some bots and integration and plugins for discourse, and maybe even to plug in into to GitHub, where right now a lot of the conversations, especially on SIPs, are happening. So in order for to be able to create this connection, we have also proposed we submitted a proposal for creating those integration. And the third proposal is for the research aspect. So we understand that this kind of a platform, in order for it to be trustworthy from the community, it should be lay a theoretical ground for research, that we are really in the right direction of getting the right input and building the right algorithm and protocol in order to build trust on the system, and also to be able to optimize its algorithm with the help of open source developers. So we wish to create this framework, to write some research. We have collaborating with a few researchers from the academia in order to create this theoretical background, and this is our third proposal on Fund 10.
All right. I'll make sure I grab all the links to those proposals and put them into the show notes for this episode as well. It sounds like a brilliant concept to actually get behind and vote in as well, considering that you already have an MVP and something working and functional out there. You got the partnerships all in place as well. And it sounds like a absolutely brilliant thing for SIP 1694 as well, which is perfect timing for it all. So, Aharon, is there anything else that the community needs to know about your platform and what you guys are doing?
We will. First of all, as I said, everyone can start playing with the platform, start experimenting with it. We love to hear your feedbacks and to learn from real users. How should we proceed, and how should we? What is the best way to keep building it? We are very accessible on Twitter. And also you can just hop onto our website and fill the form, and I will answer it as soon as possible. And I wish to say that I'm really thrilled to be part of this community, because to be part of such a devoted international community of people that are really passionate about decentralized governance, about ways that humans can collaborate, how we can create these protocols. I feel that Cardano is the place for such a project, and we are much thankful for being supported by, and hopefully we will be able to keep providing to the community in the near future.
Thank you for all your hard work. And I think this is a really great platform to build on that governance future for Cardano. It's absolutely awesome being here. But Aharon, thank you so much for joining me on this episode and talking through everything. I'll make sure it's all in the show notes, and look forward to seeing what you guys come up with after the next funding.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.